Welcome to the one and only Team 2.
Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is July 29th, 2024, and plenty going on in the world of boxing. I want to hear all about it. There's a few of you in the chat at the moment that I'll get to. We had the Justice Huni fight on Thursday. We had the Joyce Derek Chisora fight yesterday. We had Claressa Shields winning the heavyweight title. Female heavyweight title, that is, and a few other bits and pieces happening, including the launch of a new show called Walking Boxing. And thank you very much to everyone that's messaged, commented, and of course watched the episodes. If you haven't seen it yet, it's just a bit of a play on this, of course. It's just me out walking my dog of a morning and just giving my thoughts on what's happening in the boxing world, whether it be the previous day, 48 hours, just a couple of things in general. What have we done so far? And yesterday was very pleasing too, and humbling too, guys. A lot of messages and comments about my story about the Olympics. Of course, it's the Olympics starting. The first boxers are in action tonight that we'll get to as well. And I just told my story of when I went back in '96, and it was great to get some very positive feedback. So thank you very much, and some controversial topics and issues as well. Let's just say that there might have been a person or so that maybe got the knickers in a twist and got a little bit butthurt, but that is the joys of having your own YouTube show, and people aren't going to always react in the best way, and it is what it is. So we'll get into some comments there. Again, these first few comments aren't going to be in order, but I will try and sort them out. We'll start with old mate Big J. Mate, I'm calling for a total boycott of the Olympics. The disgusting, blasphemous, garbage opening ceremony. Anybody associated with that, be ashamed of themselves. That chump's still ducking. It's who was it? Jai McAllister. So g'day to Jai if you're watching, mate. I'd like to see you maybe comment a couple of times. Don't let him have it all his own way. Let's hear what you have to say, Jai. But for the Olympics, yeah, I'm with you there, Big Joe. I did say on the videos the other day that I'm not a religious person, but I totally respect people that are, no matter what religion that might be. We all have our own beliefs, and that's cool. But what I saw the other day with the opening ceremony, and look, I didn't even sit down and watch the whole thing. I had an idea what it was probably going to include, and I watched all the social media and all the backlash and little clips and all that sort of stuff of it, and got enough out of it to know exactly what. I mean, I think it went for 4 hours or something, so I might have watched about half an hour in total of different clips. But yeah, look, I don't know what the organisers were thinking, BJ. To actually, I think there was a theatre producer or director or something that did the routines or whatever you might want to call it. But no matter how you look at it, they did come out and apologise today, by the way. But no matter how you look at it, it was just an easy. Christianity seems to be an easy target these days, and they obviously didn't give one bit of thought to the billions of people they probably upset. And let's just say there had been maybe some other religions out there, might have been a lot uglier. But Christians seem to be an easy target these days. And again, I'm not religious, but I watched it and thought, holy shit. That was just so disrespectful. The Last Supper thing and the all the dances, and just shocking there, Big J. And apart from the boxing, I won't be watching anything either. Not just because of that, but I'm just not really interested in any other sports, to be honest. It's just boxing, and I'll have a look at that. So I think we've got Harry Garside on. We've got the young girl, which her name was is it Taylor? Apologies there. I'll quickly bring it up here. While we're going, where is it? Boxing Australia. Who we got in action? They might have even had one so far. Who we got? So we have Tyler McDonald. She's up against Maria Jose Palacios Espinoza from Spain. Now, she'll be up in about 25 minutes, so we'll keep a lookout and see how she went. Harry Garside's up tonight at 8:20, so we should be able to see how he went. He's up against Richard Kovacs from Hungary. And Terramona, is that him? Or is that how you pronounce it? Terramona. Really good prospect, or hope is Terramona. He's up against Dmitro Lovchinsky, which won't be easy. He's from Ukraine. Very, very powerful boxing nation is Ukraine. So that's at 12:50 a.m. So if you want to stay up and watch that. But I will be just watching that, Big J. But yeah, just respectful. All right, what do we got there? Still with Big J. I think you got a first few ones there. How good is a dad bod veteran? Swear to God, you two are separated at birth. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. No worries at all, Big J. If you haven't seen it, check out Big J's YouTube channel. It's only a new one. I think it's just under old mate Big J, so check that out. I did actually see the dad bod veteran today, Big J, after you told me about it. And, yeah, look, I think he's got a little bit fuller beard and everything else. I might be a little bit better looking, but, yeah, I can probably see the similarities there. I might have to just grow my beard out a little bit more, I think. But thanks for getting me on him. He is pretty funny too. He's the dad bod veteran. Speaking of delusional, that chump wants a 70-30 split in his favour. His name first on the bill and walk out last. Don't know who's worse, him or Zarafa. How good was Chisora? Yeah, well, I'll let you sort that out with the chump. Be careful what you say about Michael Zarafa. How good was Chisora? Yeah, he was really good. Big J. It was a tough fight. And I've never been the biggest Chisora fan. It's almost like he's a list clogger, if that makes sense. You see him in every football team or sporting team. There's always those ones that sort of stuck in the middle or take up a list spot, but never really do anything. I've always thought of that of Chisora, but full respect to him. Joyce, silver medalist at the Olympics, and one of the players in the heavyweight division, dug deep and got the decision. So really happy for Derek Chisora. I'm not quite sure where Joe Joyce goes from here, but that's something that Frank Warren will have to sort out. I won't comment on that one, BJ. Yes, I think I've said enough about Mr. Zarafa. All right, I think Crawford might be in trouble this weekend. All his WWE appearances and a charity basketball game doesn't look like he's focusing on the fight. Yeah, it does look that way, Big J, and I know you mentioned it today. Yeah, look, on the surface, it probably looks that way. I just think Crawford he's a professional fighter. He's number, in the top 3 pound for pound in the world, and that's for a reason. I think you'll probably see, apart from what he's been doing with the WWE and all the rest of it, I think you will still find that he'll be prepared. And he's just the type of fighter who can just find a gear. We've saw it on numerous times or on numerous occasions in his fights where an opponent might hang in there, they might even be in front. He just kicks off and he can end. Well, one of the main recent examples is the Sean Porter fight. He really struggled in that fight. Was told he was behind in between rounds and finished the job in the next round. I think it was at the 10th or 11th round, whatever it was. And I just think in this one, on the surface, Big J, it might seem like he's maybe just not focused. I think you'll still find the weekend when the whips are cracking and the bell rings, I think you'll see Crawford switch on. And hopefully we'll see the Terence Crawford that we all know. It has been a year since he's been in the ring. A lot can happen in a year, especially up against a young tiger like Madrimov. So really looking forward to the card. I will be doing a live watch along on that card, guys. So I think it was 10 or 11 or something in the morning. The card does start at 6:30, but there is 11 fights on that card. I'm only really interested in probably the top 4. Of course, I'll take an interest in the rest of the card, but I think it was the top 4 fights that I'll be live, well, not live streaming. I'll be watching the live stream, but I'll be doing the watch along with you guys. There's Tommy Dokes. How are you, mate? I was watching the Pacquiao exhibition with the K1 kickboxer, and it was exciting 3 rounds, but Pac-Man was getting beat up. There was no winners, but I had it 2-1 for the other guy. Yeah, I tend to agree, Tommy. Look, it was just sad seeing Pacquiao. Now, I understand he hasn't been in the ring for, 3 years, whatever it's been, and it's an exhibition, so he would have been in, just in that sort of sparring type of mode where his opponent, obviously he's going to come out and maybe go a little bit harder than maybe what was agreed on, because this is Manny Pacquiao, don't forget. So while I don't think that was Pac-Man, the Pac-Man to the nth degree. I still think he showed enough that maybe he should maybe reconsider coming back. Although I will say that Mario Barrios is a very beatable champion. So this is not Boots Ennis he's coming up against. You just don't know. I'm not a big rat for Barrios at all. So he was going to pick any of those guys, I would probably pick him out. But let's hope that Sean Gibbons, I think he's his manager these days, and maybe his family, friends, whoever it might be that's in his ear, maybe tells him to reconsider. But end of the day, he's the only one that can decide that. Did you get to check out Claressa this weekend? Yes, I did, Tommy. I was wondering, do you think she now has real power at heavyweight or just the opponent wasn't good? I just think the opponent wasn't much good, Tommy. Oh, look, full props to Claressa. I don't think she's had a knockout for 7 or 8 years or whatever it might be. Yeah, look, she did all she had to do, but the opponent was left a little bit to be desired, if you ask me. But you can only beat who they put in front of you. She was the WBC heavyweight champion. Claressa wanted a belt. Now, again, I did mention in my video, I think is it 175 and above is heavyweight with the females, because they both did look small, especially her opponent, and she was the heavyweight champion. So, yeah, look, maybe she has picked up a little bit of power, Tommy, but I think it's more so that her opponent maybe just wasn't up to the level. But not many are to Claressa Shields, are they? Big shout out to Chisora. I had him getting stopped by round 8 on my bet. I was about the same, Tommy, 8, 9, 10 rounds, whatever it might be. He's like the heavyweight version of Arturo Gatti. Really don't know where Joyce goes from here. I don't know either, Tommy. Can he go anywhere? I suppose there's lots of other examples out there of fighters that maybe look like they were finished, journeyman, whatever it might be. But I'm just not sure if Joyce has got anything. And don't forget, he has beaten Dubois, who's obviously got a shot at the title next. But yeah, the Joe Joyces of the division should be beating someone like Derek Chisora. It's as simple as that. It was obvious that Chisora was in there, like he has been against many other heavyweights in the division. The opponent, he's there to be a tough guy that's going to give him rounds and give him a fight, but he's not there to win. And I was really surprised that Joe Joyce didn't rise to the occasion. And full credit to Chisora again. But yeah, as far as where he goes from here, I don't think he can go anywhere, Tommy. I'd be staggered if he actually got back into the ranks. So let's see. Yep, JYD agrees. How are you there, mate? G'day to you too. Big J, Huni, not that impressive. Still a lot to prove. Well, it's a little bit harsh there. Big J only went 2 rounds. He did what he had to do. Look, I think we discussed it last week that Troy Pilcher probably wasn't the ideal opponent for Justice. I know for a fact, talking to Mick Francis, they wanted maybe a more upscale type of opponent, but it's proving to be pretty hard to get the right opponent for Justice at the moment. And credit to Troy Pilcher, he said, "Look, I'll have a go." But it was pretty obvious in the first round, wasn't it, that while it was tough, he was game, had a go, that Huni really didn't get out of first gear until probably the last 30 seconds of round 1. And when he did, I think he dug in a body shot that got Pilcher's attention, and you could just see that from the start of round 2 that Justice really lifted and really looked for that knockout. I'm sure maybe his team might have liked it to go on maybe a couple more rounds, but I think it was Justice just really wanted to make a statement, and he did. He just did what he had to do. He got him out of there. So I'm not really going to say it was impressive or not. He just did exactly what he had to do, got the knockout, and I'm sure he'll be looking at bigger and better opponents down the track. But all you can do is win. Second round knockout, you can't be too critical of that. So let's see what is next for Justice Huni. Yeah, JYD, RIP, the Samoan boxing coach. I did see that. If you weren't aware, guys, I think, is it Western Samoa or American? I think they're just actually under the one umbrella, but there's only one Samoan boxer at the Olympics. I think he's been to the Olympics before. He might have won a silver medal at the last Commonwealth Games. So a good young guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but his longtime coach was over there with him and unfortunately passed away, I think the day before the opening ceremony. So yeah, not great, mate. What a tragedy it is for everyone. And yeah, a credit to the Samoan boxing. He's still going to box on. He's got his dad in the corner with him as well. But yeah, all the best to him, and of course, rest in peace to the coach and his family and friends. Tommy, any hopes of Manny fighting a legit pro boxer like Barrios? I think is a terrible idea. Maybe Floyd versus Pac-Man, an old-timers exhibition rematch or something, but that's it. Yeah. Look, I sort of get it, Tommy, that, look, you're a long time retired. Manny is probably not like a Floyd who just was strictly a business for Floyd at the end of his career. Got his 50 wins, called it a day. The exhibitions are a little bit more fun. Pac-Man, I just get the impression, misses the sport a hell of a lot more than Floyd. I don't think Floyd misses those massive fights he used to have during his career. I think Pac-Man, on the other hand, I think you can tell he misses it, misses the adulation, misses the adrenaline rush. Let's just hope it's not the sort of thing that will get him in a bit of trouble and maybe get him hurt. And he's not the first and won't be the last. I mean, during boxing history, I mean, how many fighters has there been? And most notably, just recently, Roy Jones Jr., Roberto Duran to a certain extent. Lots of fighters out there that just can't give it away, even in the twilight of their careers. And I really don't want to see Pac-Man in the same bracket as, say, a Roy Jones Jr., because I think sometimes, especially a lot of the new boxing fans forget or maybe didn't know how special Roy Jones Jr. was. I only sort of see the tail end of his career, and I don't want that for the Pac-Man, who was just a phenomenal fighter, one of the all-time greats. But as far as the Floyd and Pac-Man thing, who knows? I'm not quite sure they could be friendly, though, could they, and do a nice exhibition? It'll be on. Don't worry about that. And then, of course, we'd have all the fans back and forth. If Pac-Man managed to get the better of Floyd in an exhibition, and don't forget, both guys are in their mid-40s. I think Floyd might be late 40s, actually. It'd be, well, I told you that in his prime, Pac-Man would have beaten Floyd, and it just reignite the whole thing. So, but look, if they get well paid, then good luck to both of them. G'day, Jai. Enjoy the show. Keep it up. Thanks, Jai. Don't just sit there in silence here, Jai. Let him know you're there, mate. All right, Damien, who got butthurt? If you support that absolutely devil-worshipping bullshit, let's meet up at Team Ellis and go 3-3s. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there, Damien. I'll let you guys work out who got butthurt. Probably one guess who, as I said, got his knickers in a twist and got all offended and everything. Hey, look, if you're going to comment in public, then you got to expect people are going to comment back. And my thing has always been is to never make it personal. No matter what I say, it's never a personal attack. It's just my opinion. And like you guys out there, I just have my own platform. You guys can have your own. If you get out there and make comments, then you got to expect people aren't going to necessarily agree, or maybe just retort in a different way. So again, I'll never, ever get personal. I'll just say my opinion, and however you take it is up to you. But as far as the devil worshipping goes, look, I'm with you there, Damien. It was just, is there any need? I just look back, and I did mention in my video I did the other day about Atlanta, it was all about the athletes and the heritage of the Olympics. And of course, Muhammad Ali lit the flame, and Evander Holyfield ran. And look, even, in the, the Sydney Olympics or after, that was all about Sydney and Australia and, again, the Olympics. And that's what it should be about. Let's keep all the agendas. Let's keep all the, whatever you might want to call it, different things, that the platforms that people are looking to build on. Let's just make it about the Olympics. Let's please keep the Olympics out of all the crap that goes on in the world. There's plenty of other things they can use to get their agendas and everything out there. Let's just leave the Olympics as they are and celebrate the athletes and the Olympics itself and the heritage and history of the games. Look, and all it's done in the last few days, all we've been talking about is this, where we should be talking about what a great ceremony it was. And but is it just me? Or the organisations these days, do they not read the room? I understand I don't want to get political here, but I understand there's all different things going on in the world at the moment, and things aren't what they used to be. But why not just stay out of it? Let all of us out here argue amongst ourselves. Let's make whether it be AFL, NRL, the Matildas, or the Olympics, or whatever it might be. Let's just leave it as it is. And people want to go to these sports or watch the Olympics on TV and just take a break from all this shit that's going on in the world at the moment. And you see it on social media. Everyone's at each other and there's all different sides, and whatever side you're on, whatever, that's cool. Peace. But can we just leave the major events out of it? Now, I know I'm just may as well be talking to a brick wall here, because they're not going to listen to me, you, or anyone else there. They're going to keep pushing the agendas and think they're making a difference, and all they're doing is dividing us even more. So I don't like it, Damien. What's that? Let's meet up at Team Ellis's. Okay, yeah. Well, if you disagree with Damien, if you did like the opening ceremony and the sledging and everything they did towards the Christian religion, then hit up Damien. I'm sure he'll be happy to meet up with you down at Team Ellis's gym. All right. Eminem 88. Andy Cruz looks like he's still fighting on the Bud Madrimov card, despite what people were saying last week. He shared his fight flyer. Yes, so now I did actually look at that Eminem. I looked up BoxRec just today, and he's still on the card. So I'm not quite sure where all the rumors started last week. But I'm with you. It does look at this stage that he is on the card, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then, as I said, there is 11 fights. So if you want to get up early at 6:30 in the morning, that's great. But again, I think there's about maybe 5, 6 that are just prelim fights, and then we get into the top 5 or 6 after that. The head of those routines was a 40-year-old Jew. Says it all. Okay, well, again, we're not getting political. I'll let you sort all that out there. Looking forward to this weekend's fights. Yes, I am too, mate. We have, of course, the reality season event from LA. So we've got, I'll just bring it up quickly. We're going to have a look amongst ourselves or between ourselves. There we go. If the internet wants to work here. Oh, no, there's me. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I'll bring it up again. All right. We'll get rid of that one. What is it? BoxRec, isn't it? Let's have a look. Schedule, which is this week. So we'll go over all the fights. Where are we? So it's in the US. Hang on. All right. What might be easier if I just type in the name? How would that sound? Okay, rather than looking at the schedule. All right. Terence Crawford, main event, of course. He's up against Israel Madrimov. What do you think of that? Who wins and why? All right. The rest of the card. We have David Morrell and Kalajdzic for the WBA light heavyweight title, or interim, or whatever the hell it is. Isaac Cruz, Jose Valenzuela. I think that ends one way, and that's Cruz by knockout. I think Morrell in the previous fight as well. Andy Cruz against Antonio Moran for the IBF international lightweight title. Jared Big Baby Anderson against Martin Bacoli, and Andy Ruiz against Jarrell Miller. They're probably the main fights. And look, if I'm going to be up doing or doing the watch along, I'd probably be for of course, the Crawford fight, the Cruz fight, the Isaac Cruz fight, that is, Andy Ruiz, and I'm assuming David Morrell will be the other one. So they're probably the 4 fights that we'll be covering on the day. So, should be a big weekend, guys. And the week after that, of course, is Boachuk and Virgil Ortiz. So should be a very, very good couple of weeks of boxing coming up. Looking Huni, best heavyweight since Solomon Homono. I agree, James. He is an awesome talent, and I think he's going to go into some big things, no doubt. Who's next for him? I'd love to say someone like Dempsey McKean, but I don't think that's going to happen. Eminem. Yes, I'm not quite sure. There's no one really in Australia, is there? I don't think so, apart from Dempsey McKean. So your guess is as good as mine, mate. Look, I'd love to see at some stage maybe the fight with Joseph Parker over there. I know that's not going to happen for a little while yet. But what's he had, 11 fights now or 10 fights? Let's see him get up to about 15 fights. And then I want to see him step up. G'day, Andy. How you going there, mate? Yes, smash the like button, folks. Yes, if you're watching, just hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to. Daily content. Let's go. It's that Authorised Seller Australia, the gloat. Is that Claressa Shields? Yeah. She does do a little bit, doesn't she, mate? She does talk herself up, but hey, she has to do it. No one, well, I won't say no one, but not a lot of boxing fans, unfortunately, take the female seriously, especially at that weight. I love watching the lower weight ones. I was in when I was at in Arizona earlier in the year when Liam Wilson fought Oscar Valdez, and they had Sinicia Estrada on the undercard against, what was her name? I could pronounce her name wrong, but great fight. And I saw her earlier, was it late last year as well, at the, can't remember who, she might have been the main event, actually. It was on the same weekend as, well, actually, it was the same weekend as Crawford and Spence. That was the last time I was there. So, yeah, no, I think she's great. But, yeah, if no one else will talk her up there, mate, she might as well do it herself. So, all right. Paul Michael Craig, how are you, mate? I thought Huni was good, and Troy Pilcher probably the best Aussie heavyweight with under 10 fights, but there are levels in boxing. That's a really good way of describing it there, Paul. Yep, Huni was good, without being great, just good, very good. And Troy Pilcher, yes, he's probably, I would say, behind Dempsey McKean. I would have Dempsey McKean in front of him, but still in the top three. But there's a massive gap between those two. I think you've got Huni, then Dempsey, and then there's a massive gap, and then you're down to Troy after that. But no disrespect to Troy. I just really respect what he did. He no one else had fight justice, so he said, I'll have a crack. And yes, he was out of his depth, but full credit to him for getting in there and having a go and giving us all a free night of fights. Wouldn't even watch, okay, of Claressa. What's that? Congratulations to all the winners, especially Chisora. Joyce is slow, but looked slower being too heavy. He did look heavy, didn't he, Andy? I'm not quite sure what his weight was. Let's have a look actually while we're going here. He did look heavy though, which probably goes to show probably a couple of things. One, he didn't take the fight seriously, or two, he wanted to bulk up maybe to have a little bit more power. Okay, it's not letting me log in there. Sorry, guys. It's not on there. Oh, it's all good. It looked heavy, though. All right. Big J, never forget Sam Solomon won his IBF title at 40, so can never count anyone out. Good point, Big J. Very, very good point. And Sam Solomon had so many roadblocks over his journey. I must admit, I thought he was done when I think it was the second or third Mundine. It might have been the second one where Anthony really towed him up, and then I think did it again in the third fight. And of course, was it Daniel? No, Daniel Gill didn't fight Sam, did he? But anyway, I thought he was done, but he came back, went to Germany, by the way, which is pretty tough to go to Germany and win a world title. And of course, Daniel Gill did it as well. So full respect to Sam. Hopefully he's doing well. Chisora Wilder. You reckon Chisora? I think there's talk that he might be fighting Dillian White. And I think I called him Derek White today in my video. But it's Dillian White. I think that probably makes the most sense. Although the Wilder fight, yeah, I could probably see how that could maybe be one of the undercard fights of one of the reality season events. I don't mind it. Give Huni a shot. At least he doesn't have a scumbag low life creep dirt bag charging $70 to watch him. Wow, I've certainly got to go over these comments before I put them on screen, don't I, Damien? But mate, hey, you can have your opinion. I'll read that again. Give Huni a shot. At least he doesn't have a scumbag low life creep dirt bag charging $70 to watch him. Well, it was free on DAZN. Look. I'll mention a pay-per-view that's coming up that is worth $70. I won't buy into the discussion there. I think we all know who you're talking about there, Damien. But there is a pay-per-view coming up, and it's by our friends at No Limit. And look, I've got to say, I don't mind the card. I like it. I'll happily pay the money for it. I think Nikita and Cohen, good fight. Not worth the money by itself, but as a whole, having Jerome Pampalone and Connor Wallace on the undercard, Michael Zarafa, Tommy Brown, make of it what you will, but at least it's another sort of semi-decent fight. And then you've got Jazzy Parr, I think I heard today, is fighting Amber Amelia. So I don't mind the card, Damien, so far. Is it worth $70? I'll let you guys and girls decide that for yourselves, but I don't mind it. I don't mind the card. The Connor Wallace and Pampalone fight really makes it for me as to the point that should be the co-main to Nikita and Cohen. And as far as implications goes in world boxing, it probably should be the main event. Of course, it's not going to be because it's, of course, Nikita's show. But I think it definitely should be the co-main. Now, I've got a feeling they'll probably make Zarafa and Brown the co-main because they're going to want to build the storyline as they do in the WWE, of course, into what happens next, and that's fine. That's the way you build up a promotion. But as far as significance, I would definitely think that the Conor Wallace-Pampaloni fight should be the co-main event. Is there an age limit in the Olympics for boxing? Well, it used to be 32, Big J. When I was fighting, it was 32, which seems pretty young when you think about it. I've got no idea these days. I would think not, because at one stage, well, there mustn't be, because I think wasn't Manny Pacquiao talking about representing the Philippines? So probably not. Now, is that being, what do they call it? Is it discrimination to say that someone can't compete because of an age limit? Maybe that's probably, in this day and age, anything's possible, Big J. But as I said, when I was boxing, it was 32, which I think is too young. I think way too young. I would probably think, well, if there was an age limit, I'm probably thinking 38 to 40. But as I said, Manny Pacquiao was going to fight at these Olympics, so maybe not. Shout out to Tassie Brown. That interview with Choc was awesome. Yes, make sure you check out the ringside seat with Tassie Brown. He's interviewed Tim Zhu. He's interviewed Choc Mundine. He's interviewed, and I think Billy Dibb is the first one. I think Luke Jackson might be coming next. So, yeah, look, and look, full respect to Tassie as well. He flew to Sydney on his own, at his own expense, rented out a studio up there. Obviously, he did 4 or 5 interviews in the one weekend, or one day, I don't know what it was, but spent the money to go up there, hire out the studio, and then interview all these guys. So, yeah, and that's to bring these interviews to you guys. So if you haven't subscribed to the ringside seat with Tassie Brown, make sure you do that. And I think I saw today that he has another show coming up in Tassie towards the end of the year. So if you're in Tasmania, then keep a lookout for it, because he always puts on great shows down there in Hobart, I think it is, not Launceston. I think it's Hobart. So if you're in the area or anywhere in Tassie, or even if you want a weekend away in Tasmania to go watch the fights, then go support the show. Joyce seems to be allergic to head movement. He certainly looks limited these days, doesn't he, Tommy? He's not the same fighter he was, and can he get it back? I suppose only time will tell, and only he can decide that. Yeah, Andy. Yeah, rest in peace to the coach. Yeah, had a heart attack at 60 years of age, Andy. 60 years. So, look, he might have had underlying health problems. This is the Samoan coach I'm talking about. But yeah, 60 years old. And look, it's just what even makes it more tragic is that, what's tragic at any time, but I did read that the young boxer and the coach had made this pact to go to an Olympics together. They got to the opening ceremony, or the day before the opening ceremony. So he didn't actually, well, obviously he got to Paris, but didn't actually get to experience the Olympics, which is even just more tragic than it is just him passing away. So Tassie Devil, that's interesting. The Tassie Devil, but you've got the Carlton avatar there. Not there's anything wrong with that, Tassie. I'm a blue boy myself, but interesting that you have got the Carlton picture there as your logo, and Tassie Devil is your name. But I think there's only a couple up there so far. Tassie Devil, Big J will obviously answer you there unless he already has. Yeah, get on there and support the Big J and also Tassie Brown. Eminem, loving the daily content in Walking Boxing along with weekly Talking Boxing and Roundup. Keep it up. Nah, thanks very much, mate. I'm just always looking at different things to be a little bit different than the other YouTubers out there. I mean, let's face it, they all pretty much do the same thing. So I just wanted something that I could do on a daily basis. And, and the thing is, I get up every morning, I take my dog for a walk, anywhere between an hour and a half. And I'm always thinking about not just boxing, but, business, family, whatever it might be. But I find myself thinking about a lot of the things going on in the boxing world at the moment as I'm walking along. I thought, well, maybe if I just share my thoughts and get some feedback from you. I think we've had 200 or 300 views of each video, and that's awesome. And the roundup, it's a little bit hit and miss there, mate, but I obviously love this show as well. This is obviously my favorite, but Walking Boxing, and I was surprised that level of support for the name. I thought it was a little bit wanky, the name, but got a lot of support, so I'll keep that for the time being anyway, mate. But I think there's a few people around the neighbourhood maybe think I'm a bit crazy walking around talking to myself. But who cares? When you're a YouTuber, you've got to block all that out. You've got to be able to talk into a camera, whether there's nobody or there's 1,000 people around you. You just have to put them out of your thoughts. And I think these days people are used to YouTubers and podcasters and everything walking around, and influencers and all that sort of stuff, filming themselves and taking photos. So, but I'm glad you like it, Eminem. Really appreciate it, mate. And if you've got anything you want me to talk about, make sure you send me a message, probably on Instagram. Anyone out there, if you've got some topics or something you'd like me to talk about on my walk, just send me a message on Instagram, and we'll see how we go. I'll keep going through the comments there. Tommy, I'm surprised Canelo and Berlanga is in Vegas with the Philadelphia Puerto Rican Danny Garcia as the co-main. I was really surprised, Tommy, but pleasantly surprised, I've got to tell you. And of course, if you've been watching this show, you know that stupidly I booked tickets. They were on special at the start of the year. I booked tickets to go to Vegas, excuse me. And I was like this, praying that there was a fight. It didn't look good there for a while. It looked like Canelo was going to let the date go and let the UFC have it. So thank you, Canelo, for giving us a fight on that weekend. I mean, I would have been happy to go to the Sphere anyway. I'm not a UFC guy, but I'd love to go see a sporting or combat sports event there. It'd be awesome. But you're right, though, mate. Danny Garcia and Erislandy Lara as the co-main. Look, if Danny Garcia had been a little bit more active, I would probably really welcome that fight. But yeah, I'm just not sure how much Danny's got left. But you're right as far as, Philadelphia, that's where Danny's from. To put it in Vegas, I just got a feeling that Canelo is being a little bit stubborn here and has just dug the heels in, saying, hey, this is my town, this is my date. I don't care if it's UFC. I'm going to dig my heels in and take that date back. And I'm not sure Berlanga is the opponent to do it with, or maybe that's why he's chosen Berlanga, because he doesn't really want to compete with the UFC. Maybe even if it was Benavidez, maybe he still doesn't think it would be enough to go head-to-head. Maybe Berlanga's just a soft way into keeping his date and puffing his chest out, saying he's not giving up the date, but not risking a massive fight against the UFC. So, but I'm pretty happy with it, Tommy. I think I said last week or whenever it's been that I will be going to Philadelphia before I go to Vegas. I'll be going to Philadelphia. I'll be going up to Fighters Heaven, up near somewhere up the top of Philadelphia, wherever it is. Then over to Shanksville, down to Gettysburg, and then down to Washington, and then over to Vegas. So I'm really looking forward to going over there. But you make a good point there, mate. It is a little bit strange I would have that card in Vegas with those fighters on there. But especially Berlanga, I would have thought that maybe even if they wanted to go on the same date, they would do it in New York, because the Mexican-Puerto Rican thing in New York would be massive. Or maybe just Canelo thinks, well, I got more Mexicans that are going to support me in Vegas and he'd have Puerto Ricans over there. Who knows? But I've just got a feeling he's been a little bit stubborn, is Canelo, and he's dug the heels in and just said, this is my town, my date, and I don't care. So I suppose time will tell. Should make tickets pretty easy to get, though, Tommy. I think they go on sale tomorrow. So let's hope the ticket prices are nice and low. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate that, mate. And just on the... So he's... who did I say? It's Erislandy Lara. Yep. The giant killer, Erislandy Lara. The Dragon Slayer. I think you know what I'm talking about. All right. 100% enough of these disgusting agendas. It's always in these westernized countries, us included. It is, mate. It is. At what point, though, do we rise up? Because at the moment, if you rise up, you sort of shouted down and cancelled, as they say. At what point do we say, I don't give a shit, sit down and shut up? Because we are the majority, Damien. But the minority seem to be running the world at the moment. At what point do we all rise up and say, enough's enough? Back in your box. We're taking over. Hopefully November. There should be none of this shit in sport. 100% agree, Damien. Leave it out of it. As I said, we all just want to enjoy the sports. We don't need this in our sports. I'm not quite sure about the NRL, but in the AFL, they have lots of different weekends. And look, I do support some of the causes. There's, I think there's a Starlight, or the Fremantle do a Starlight Foundation. Unbelievable, love it. That's for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Love it. They wear a special Guernsey, raise money. That's great. They had of course, the Anzac Day one. Love that. Collingwood and Essendon, even though I'm a Carlton supporter, they should have that date for eternity. They both teams do it so well. I don't mind, or I love the Indigenous round. They celebrate. There's no agendas or anything. All they're doing is celebrating the Indigenous culture and involvement in the AFL, and that's great. But when they bring in the other things like, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but things like Pride Round, I've got no dramas at all with that community at all. I think we get the hint now. We don't need it. Guernseys with rainbow flags and stuff. I think we get it. And all, again, no issues with that people of that persuasion or in that community. But do I need to go see a footy game? And anyway, I'll move on before I get myself into trouble. Anyway. All right, Christians are easy targets, as it's common knowledge they don't get crazy and carry on. 100%, mate. Hit it on the head. We need more Aussie content. Sick of all the Yank channels and all the bullshit they spew. That's on Big J's channel. Yeah, mate, there should more the merrier, I think. They're not all the same, though, Tassie. I'm on the D-style round table, and they're pretty good on that channel. They know the boxing, and they don't really get caught up in the whole American thing. They give us a fair shake down here and POMs and everything else. So, but if you're after a good international one, D-Style is a good channel to check out. All right. The opening ceremony was terrible. Just stirred up controversy. Leave religion, politics, and sexual preference out of it. Should always keep it neutral so everyone can enjoy it together. Exactly, Andy. There's plenty of other platforms to have their say. But I just look, if you're sitting, let's just say, at the NRL, what's his name? Peter V'landys. Peter V'landys sitting up there, surely when they're making all the decisions on this, they would say, well, shit, no matter what we do, we're going to upset half our supporter base. So why bother? Why bother? Stay out of it. And I know, especially with NRL, it did blow up big time up there, didn't they? Or did they with was it the Pride round or something up there? There's obviously a lot of the Pacific Islander boys are all very, very religious. Didn't want to support that and didn't want to wear the jumpers. And I know the AFL ran into it with the AFLW. I think I've said on here before with, I think it was a Greater Western Sydney player who was Muslim, didn't want to wear the Pride jumper. Why create all the issue and make it really hard on those people, whether it be Muslims or the Christians or whatever it might be? Why make it hard for them? Doesn't make sense. It puts them at odds with teammates, and this one Muslim girl had to pull out. Imagine how she would have felt. She didn't want to pull out, but she had to. It's her religion. So why even put these players in that situation? And the same as us as viewers, why put everyone in that position where everyone's fighting on social media and going nuts? Why? What's the point? Stay out of it. Just put on a great Olympics, a great opening ceremony, closing ceremony, and all that, and just let people make up their bloody minds. They don't need the Olympics or AFL or NRL or whatever it is to keep pushing things on us. We all know the drill. We all know the score, and we'll make up our own decisions, our own minds. We'll make our own decisions. So, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, guys, but just stay out of it. All right. Yep, Asbot agrees. Sport should be one thing we can come together on. Yep. It's hard enough, Asbot, when you go to the footy and you got opposition supporters to cope with first, let alone people of different persuasions in whether it be religion or whatever it might be. It just should be a neutral zone. Go to the footy, barrack for your team, maybe have a bit of verbal stoushing with the opposition and go home and be done with it. All right, Damien, spewing, I'll be on my flights during this weekend's event, have 4 weeks off work. From today, though, I'm wrapped. Good on you, Damien. Where you going to, mate? You're heading overseas? If you are, mate, have a great time. Jazzy Parr, Amber and Millie on the Zoo Mazudia undercard. Love it. Love the fight. I think it's a really good fight. Jazzy Parr shows a lot of ability. I think she's got a big future. Amber Amelia, what does Glenn Jennings call her? The pocket rocket. Love watching her fight as well. And look, I love fighters like Amber Amelia because it's not just about, in this day and age, it's just about winning. She wins more than she loses, by the way. But I'm just saying, I love fighters like her. They just rock up and they just fight. They give you a great fight every single time. Yeah, they mightn't win all the time, but they keep rocking up and giving everything they've got, and that's all you can ask. All you can ask. And I give them a lot more respect and props than what I would for someone that just carefully picks her opponent. So I'm glad Amber Amelia has taken the Jazzy Parr fight. I'm really happy that Jazzy Parr has taken on Amber Amelia in a really, really tough test for her. So I think it'll be a really good fight. And probably Amber Amelia, who I think's more of a bantamweight, super flyweight, whatever it might be. I think Jazzy Parr suits her a lot better physically because she has fought Chanel Dargan, who's a very, very big, I think she might be 122 or something like that. So I think this is a lot more suited to her, this fight with Jazzy Parr. So good on the girls. Again, I like the card. I really do. Congrats to Claressa, says Andy. Shallow pool, but that Ioannis, is that Ioannis or something they pronounce it, is still a win. Yep, levels. Totally agree, mate. Can understand the hate on Shields, especially since her brother sucker punched that old coach that time. Was that him? Was it? I remember that. That was her brother. Yeah. Look, she just doesn't do herself any favors, though, Andy. And look, I get she's probably frustrated. She probably knows she should know she's obviously a very, very elite talent. I think she won Olympic gold as well. She's an excellent fighter, very, very good fighter. So she would be frustrated, but I just think sometimes she maybe tries too hard to push herself on boxing fans, and boxing fans can be a little bit fickle, and they've sort of pushed back a little bit. So fully respect her and what she's achieved. Andy, no doubt at all. But I didn't know that about her brother, or that was her brother. That was shocking. All right, Tommy, women boxing under 140 doesn't have much competition. I'd rather see a Savannah Marshall rematch for Claressa again. Well, there is talk they were going to rematch in the cage, I think, Tommy, wasn't there? I really like Savannah Marshall, and I thought she would have given Claressa a little bit better fight than what she did. I mean, it was semi-competitive, but Claressa Shields really won that fight clearly, I thought. I'd love to see Savannah Marshall come back and maybe revive that rivalry. And I think it was actually D-Style said the other day, made a really good point. The one thing with Claressa Shields is she hasn't had that real rival that we can talk about. Savannah Marshall is it. And I don't think either girl really built on that rivalry. So let's hope Savannah Marshall comes back to boxing and we see that Claressa Shields rematch. He doesn't hold back, Damien, doesn't he? I think he needs a Snickers, Andy. All right, Zoo versus Cohen, ICC Arena in Sydney. Yes, can't wait. August 28th. Sure, they'll get a big crowd, and I think the pay-per-views will be big too. They've got plenty of ammunition this time with the pay-per-view ads. It's been a little bit hard. Poor old Mark Schliebs had to carry the Sam Goodman fight. In this instance, we've got, I think Cohen has tried a little bit already. If you haven't seen, he's had a little bit of a dig at Nikita about his weight, struggled making weight, and I think he was biting into a burger or something the other day. Wishing him all the best in his training camp in Las Vegas. But I think obviously Michael Zarafa and Tommy Brown, there'll be plenty of ammunition there or grabs they can use. I think Connor Wallace and Pampalone, they'll have plenty there as well. Connor Wallace doesn't mind talking up as well, playing up to the crowd. I love it too when he gets his crowd up and about at the fights. And I think even Jazzy Parr and Amber Amelia, they can use plenty of highlights from their fights as well and a few grabs of them talking. So, yeah, look, I think this is the best, Tim aside, this is the best No Limit pay-per-view that I've seen for quite some time. And I know Nikita and Cohen is not a massive fight in the world of boxing. I get that. But it's going to be a very entertaining fight, very even fight. Cohen brings it. He's game. He's tough. But the thing is, I think Tim, apologies, Nikita, if you're watching. I don't mean to call you Tim. But Nikita, look, he'll have his work cut out for him. But the fact that I think Cohen lost to Wade Ryan, who's the road warrior, and everything else. He is still very limited in his ability, although he's wrung every little bit of talent and everything out of himself. So full respect to him as well. I just think though that Nikita being a southpaw as well, I just think we'll have it too much for Cohen. But I think it'll be a really, really good fight. If Cohen lands one, who knows? But I think the card as a whole, very, very credible, just in my opinion. Damien disagrees. I wouldn't pay for that with an enemy's money. Damien. Can we all hang on? I'm going to have to all do a bit of fundraising here for Damien. We need to get him a lifetime supply of Snickers, I think, because he needs a hug. If anyone knows Damien, can you give him a hug? Just joking, Damien. Great to have you here, mate. What's that? Oh, damn, mate. An extra shout out to Tassie Brown. Yeah, got to give him a shout out. He is a promoter, Damien. Yeah, he's done 20 or 21 shows. Oh, this might be his 21st show coming up. Has single-handedly kept the Tassie fight scene afloat over the years. Tassie Brown. This is not the Tassie Brown show, by the way. Tassie, if you're watching, go and do your own show. But I'll give him a little bit of a plug for a little bit. But this is a guy who back in the day was the promoter and a trainer and a fighter on his own cards. If you can get your head around that. So he's done great things for Tassie boxing. They obviously call him Tassie Brown for a reason. The heart and soul of Tasmania. All right, Huni showed levels versus Pilcher. It's Dempsey McKean doable yet? Is it doable yet? Oh, look, a few things would have to thaw. So I think to get that fight across the line, Andy, I haven't spoken to the parties involved for quite some time. Well, when I say quite some time, probably a couple of months. But last time I heard, though, is as to say the promoters don't really see eye to eye, but you just don't know. You just don't know. Especially if Eddie Hearn comes to Australia. Well, he has been here, of course, but if he comes and will be here with Liam, or better yet, Turkey LL Sheikh decides to come to Australia, which I do doubt at the moment, but you never know. He's the sort of one that says, all right, everyone involved, and not just this fight, but a lot of other fights. All right, stop the bickering. How much is it going to take you guys to get in the ring? And he'll just make it happen. But it's the same all over, Andy. You know that. Promoters all over the world. I had my dramas with other promoters as well. It's just part and parcel of the game. So heart attacks are crazy. Never take these days for granted. Tell your loved ones you love them and never give your money to and never give your money to no limit. You're on fire tonight, Damien. I love it. You don't, Damien, I'll just ask you a serious question, though. You don't think this fight's worth $70 or the card? Give me your thoughts. I'm not sure whether you've commented further down the tracks. I'm a few behind, but you don't think this card's pay-per-view worthy? Yeah, I don't know. Look, I've always said about some of the no-limit fights and been critical of the main event on the card, but I've always been very vocal that maybe they should take the UFC model where it's not just about the main event, it's about the card as a whole. And I think they've actually, I don't think they're listening to me, but I think they've maybe looked at it and maybe taken that approach. Because so far, 4 fights into the card, I'm hooked. I'm in. I think it's a great card. Maybe one more would tick it off and maybe get someone like yourself on board. But yeah, I think it's a good show. And yes, I've been very critical of No Limit over the journey, which I have been reminded about several times from certain people. But I've got to give it to them on this one. I think they've taken that UFC approach, and I think it's a good card as a whole. Now, I would be probably saying something different if it was just maybe Nikita versus Cohen and it was maybe a weak undercard. But those, Zarafa brings the eyeballs, and Wallace and Pamplona will bring the quality. I think it'll be a good fight. And the girls they'll go to war for 6 or 8 rounds, whatever it's going to be. So let me know your thoughts, Damien. Glenn, evening all. Yep, I like walking boxing. Thanks, Glenn. Walking boxing is awesome, just like everything else you've been doing. Hey, thanks, Damien. I take back everything I said about you now. No, I do appreciate it. And I'm just trying to create content that you maybe don't see on other channels. I think too many podcasters or YouTubers these days, they just sort of think one-dimensionally and they sort of copy each other. That's not the way I sort of roll, and I'm always looking just to do something different. So hopefully you get something a little bit from this channel different that you might get from other channels. But any suggestions you do have, then let me know. What's that? No, I'm all good. Not many crazy people in our area. I'm sure there's got to be people around, see me walking around every morning. And I've always got the black jacket and the hoodie, and I'm talking to myself. So I don't know what people, I've got this crazy little dog running around. I think people stay away from me. But if you see me walking around, hey, I'm just keeping to myself and doing my thing. Walking boxing is a goodie. Good way to get discussions flowing. Yeah, as I said, Andy, I'll just walk around and it's always been something. It's probably been a good thing and a bad thing. I'm a real overthinker, and I can't help, no matter what. Like, even to the point in bed, my mind's just sort of going over. I struggle to get to sleep. But walking around, I always just think of different things, and I did do a few shorts on Instagram. What are they, stories? And I just thought that it's really hard to even if you do a series of them, to do a 1 minute little grab and then do another 1 minute grab. And then a lot of people get a bit impatient and just sort of scroll through after they've seen the first one. So I just thought I'll just do a complete video, talk for as long as I need to, and there it is. I think yesterday was maybe a little bit long. It was 25 minutes, but I had a lot to say about the Olympics, but I'll try and keep it to 10 or 15 minutes anyway, so that we get on with our day. All right, Damien, Dana White is doing a love letter for the Mexicans at the Sphere, with a dork American with coloured hair versus a guy from Georgia, not the state. I did see that, Damien, and there has been a lot of talk about the card. And I did see about the love letter to Mexico. It is, of course, Mexican Independence Day that weekend. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of Mexicans on the card, Damien. So I've got a feeling they might be up the road at the T-Mobile Arena, I reckon. Look, I don't think the shows will affect each other at all. I really don't. Yeah, there might be a few casuals on the pay-per-views that might go between one or the other. There might be some boxing fans who would normally, if there's nothing on, will buy the UFC. There might be some UFC fans, if there's nothing on, will buy the boxing. I think overall it'll balance out, and especially in Vegas, I don't think they'll interrupt each other at all, to be honest. I think they'll coexist just fine. I think they'll actually complement each other really, really well, and there'll be different fight fans from all over the world. And as I said, I don't think they'll really cross over at all. I think you'll have the UFC mob and you'll have the boxing mob. Camille Bella will be fighting Jin Sasaki on the Inoue undercard on 3rd of September in Japan. Do you know anything about Jin Sasaki? I don't know much about him, Nick. I did see that Camille was fighting him on the, like you said there, the Inoue undercard. So good on Camille. I haven't spoken to him for a few years now. I've promoted, of course, a few of his fights. But I haven't probably spoken to him for about 5 years. But he did look in really good nick when Ibi fought Jalen Tate a couple of weeks ago. So look, full respect, Camille, like Ibi, has seen that they're at the age where they can't muck around anymore. It's just all in, and let's just go. And respect to Camille, just like Ibi, for stepping up and going to Japan. He's obviously going over as the opponent. Of course, he's fighting the Japanese guy, Jin Sasaki. But I don't really know much about him, Nick. I might see if I can get some stuff on YouTube and give you a bit more information maybe next week. Watching McDonald from Australia being outclassed by a very tall, lanky girl. Way too much reach difference. Thanks, Bill. Let us know the decision there, mate. Sounds like we might be 0-1, but let's hope maybe she can turn the tables. What's that? Damien, let us know ticket prices for the Canelo event. Curious. Okay, I'll let you know, mate. Let's hope they're not too much. Oh, you would think they couldn't be that expensive, could you? I mean, look, there's probably a couple of things. One is that it's Berlanga, so it's not like he's fighting Triple G or anyone like that. You got the UFC down the road, so they probably don't want the fight fans maybe choosing between one or the other. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get a bit of a price war. I don't know. But on the other hand, this is Canelo Alvarez, and he wants to get paid. And Berlanga's going to have his hand out as well. Normally, Damien, not that I ever get the seats for these events right down close. I can probably afford maybe about midway, I suppose. But even with those tickets, you're looking at about, for a half-decent seat, about halfway. I'm probably thinking it'd be about $1,000 US, I would think. Just for about midway, sort of at eye level, I suppose, up in the stands. Tassie and I actually went to the Canelo and Triple G fight, the third one. And I think it might have been about $500 or $600. They weren't cheap, and we were way up high. But I mean, of course, that's Triple G. Didn't stop Tassie though. We saw down below us, Nonito Donaire was in a little corporate little area right below us. Tassie literally jumped out of the stands and hightailed it down, or shimmied down, whatever, down to where Nonito was. And let's say there was a gap maybe half a metre wide, so 50 centimetres or something wide, but straight down to the bottom. If he had a slipped or whatever, he would have went straight down the gap, and there'd be no more Tassie Brown or ringside seat with Tassie, I can tell you. But he went down there, and this is Tassie for you. If you know Tassie the way I do, and I'm sure someone like Bill does. He ended up down there having drinks with Nonito Donaire, arm in arm, taking selfies, all the rest of it. And I did the right thing and walked out and around down to there because it was after the fights had finished. Did meet Nonito, which was great. I had met him before with the Maloney's over there. But I just kept thinking, you crazy bastard. But that's Tassie Brown. Don't get in the way of Tassie if he spots someone that he wants to get to for a selfie or a video, whatever it might be, because you're going down like bowling pins, I can tell you. He's a mover and shaker, I can tell you that. All right, we'll move on. Again, this is not the Tassie Brown show. Looking at Tommy Robinson in the UK, arrested yesterday. Absolute joke. Is that right, Damien? I didn't see that. He's gone sort of off the grid a little bit, Tommy Robinson. Didn't you know, Damien, it's illegal to love your country these days? Didn't you know that? Shame on you. And stand up for your beliefs and traditions. Can't do that anymore, Damien. All right. What's that? Hell yes, make a wish. Promote that all day long. Yeah. Pride Month in America. What veterans and parents only get one day. Yep, exactly. No, well, not just Pride Month, Damien. It's year in, year out, or day in, day out, isn't it? Every single day. Did you know that, again, I'm not getting political. I'm just putting it out there. I think there was a driver over there who was in a pickup truck who decided to do a bit of a burnout on one of the rainbow flags painted on the road. And actually, I think he might have got some jail time. That's how well we're going. You're getting jail time for doing a burnout. Wow. But you can pull down statues and loot and steal and bash people and light fires. That's all good. Peaceful protests. Anyway. What a pairing, Michael Zarafa and Colin Carpenter. I've got to be careful what I say here, Ryan. Some people, they get a little bit cut up sometimes if you're not complimentary to them and tell them how great they are. Okay? So, yeah. So just wake up to yourself there, Ryan. All right. I've got to be careful. Hang on. Just checking my phone. It's all good. Savannah Marshall beats Claressa in MMA, in my opinion. Marshall versus Shields at 175 would be interesting. Yeah, look, the first fight was good, Andy. I liked it. I thought Claressa won, of course, but MMA would be interesting. Savannah Marshall, I don't know. I just think the opponent she had was very carefully selected for her. Doesn't say she still did the job. No different to probably Claressa against the girl on the weekend. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Now, didn't Claressa, she was in MMA and she actually got beaten from memory, didn't she? Let us know, Andy. But either way, I'd love to see him in there no matter what it is. Has he got an Instagram? Always wanted to go check out Tasmania, and a boxing event would make it way better. Yep, just check out Grant Tassie Brown, Damien. And he puts a lot of content on Instagram, so check him out. And I think he's got a YouTube page as well. I think he has. Yeah, he has got a YouTube page as well. So you don't just have to listen to the interviews with Tim and Chock and Luke and Billy. You can get on there and actually watch them as well. Eddie Hearn, please steal the zoos away. Well, at what point, with running the risk here of upsetting more people, at what point does Team Zoo look at it and go, how much more can maybe No Limit do for us? And at what point do we maybe jump ship to an Eddie Hearn or maybe a Top Rank? I think Eddie Hearn would be a good selection because there's only so much promoters can do for you. And No Limit has done a great job with Tim Zoo, and they are doing a great job with Nikita and Sam, and they did a good job with Liam. But Tim is global, I think. So at what point has No Limit done as much as they possibly can for him? Be interesting. But again, I'll say it again without running the risk of upsetting people out there. There's a lot of butthurt people out there these days. I think they've done a great job with Tim and Sam and Nikita and Liam and everyone else that they've been involved with. Yes, Eminem just announced Benny Mahoney returns. Victor Nagby, September 21. That is the Wild Fighter card. I had a chat with Will Tomlinson today. I wasn't quite sure whether it was actually public yet, M&M, but Benny Mahoney, great to see him back. And I didn't know it was Victor Nagby. That's a tough fight coming back for Benny Mahoney because Victor Nagby can fight. And I think, who else did he say was on the card? Let me know, M&M. What did he say? There was someone else of note on there as well. I can't remember. I'm assuming I can say it. Jason Malia is on there against Ben Horn. I think that'll be a good fight as well. Sorry, Will, if I wasn't allowed to announce it. But look out for tickets. Well, Will Tomlinson, Wildfighter, doing great things for boxing. I'd love to see some more of his shows getting on some streaming devices as well. So apologies, Will, if I've just spilt the beans, but great to see Benny Mahoney back. Damien, hell no, $30 for the pay-per-view. Okay, well, hey, at least you're willing to pay something though, Damien. All right, UFC trying to muscle in on Mexican Day versus Canelo is just silly, especially when UFC's main event doesn't have any Mexican fighters, let alone popular Mexicans like the Canelo about to prove a point. Yeah, as I said, Andy, I'm really surprised if that is the case. Sorry, I just got to let you know there. Really surprised if that is the case. It's one thing to take on Canelo on Mexican Independence Day, but without a Mexican selling point or a headliner, yeah, that's an interesting one. I know Turkey Al Sheikh's been vocal about what did he say? He's going to eat Canelo. Yeah, I don't know if the way it looks at the moment, I'm backing Canelo to outdo UFC on that day. So, look, a lot of people, no matter what you think of Canelo, at the end of the day, he is a living Mexican legend. And all the Mexican fans, I know there's probably a segment of the market or the fight fans that don't like Canelo, but I think 99% of Mexicans absolutely love Canelo, and they'll be there on that weekend supporting Canelo and not the UFC. Now, forgive me, I'm not again not a UFC fan. Occasionally, if there's an Aussie involved or something, I'll watch, or I've even bought a couple in the past. Is there a Mexican that is at any stature in the UFC? Or sorry, I take that back. Another way to word it. Is the UFC actually popular with the Mexican audience? We know Mexicans love boxing. They have for generations. Do they turn up for the UFC? And is there a Mexican fighter that they all follow, like, or maybe not as popular as Canelo, but is there a Mexican equivalent to Canelo out there that they can maybe put on this card? Because without one, I just don't see how the UFC competes with Canelo. Yeah, they'll probably pack out the stadium, but will it get all the attention in Vegas that Canelo is going to get? $70, you would have to have both zoos and both of them in big world title fights. Geez, you're a hard man to please, Damien. Damien, what about me versus a chump on a no limit card? Would you pay for that? Well, you never know. Well, yep, we'll add that to the zoo co-main event. Definitely walks out first and gets paid less. Doesn't even get the intro from Lieutenant Dan. All right. UFC has fallen off hard. It's crazy. Alex Pereira is the only good thing they have going. Yeah, well, it's interesting, Damien. I sort of, as I said, I take a passing interest in it, I suppose. And I did see the one on the weekend and thought, okay, I don't really know any of those guys except the baddie. What's his name? Paddy the baddie. I like him. But apart from Alex Pereira that I do know, I mean, I would have thought they would have maybe tried to wheel out Conor McGregor again. I know he had the broken pinky toe or whatever it was, and they had to pull him out of the last fight, but surely it's healed by now. So I'm not quite sure, what's happened there. This seems to be the event for Conor. But, I mean, he's hasn't really been relevant for about 4 or 5 years now either, has he? They haven't really got that marquee female either. Yeah, I know. Look, everything goes through cycles, I suppose. And at the moment, UFC is just a little bit bare for those superstars. I remember at the one time when they had Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. I mean, wow. That's obviously when UFC was at its peak. But even then, they had Miesha Tate and Holly Holm and Cyborg came in as far as the females goes. And, of course, who are some of the guys? I don't know, Nate Diaz and Pereira and Ngannou, all these types of guys. But just seems to be they've just fallen a little flat lately. Who's the Kiwi side? Is it the Sidewinder? Is that his name? The one that beat Robert Whittaker. So, but yeah, a little bit lean at the moment, mate, but I'm sure they will come back. As I said, it all goes in cycles. Paid for Bud versus Madrimov yesterday. That card is lit. $35, Andy. So, Damien, are you going to pay the $35 to watch Bud and Madrimov? Let me know. Bad Bala was busting out his shirt at Ibby's fight, that Albanian superpower. That's Camille. He's always been a very energetic type of guy. And you would have seen him when Ibby walked out a couple of weeks ago. You see him, he's actually, like he was doing the ring walk, he's bouncing like he was going to fight. A quick story. When I was promoting him, we got him the fight with George Kambosos in New Zealand. It was on the undercard of a Joshua Parker fight. I can't remember who he fought. It was a late replacement anyway. It wasn't a big fight. I don't think I really watched any of it, to be honest. But we were flying over there. It was a Duco event, of course. And, it was Camille Bella versus George Kambosos. And we all went to walk out into the arena. We got to the tunnel. Well, I was not behind him. I was just up in the crowd just as he walked out there. And he got to the tunnel or the entrance to the arena, and they started to play his song, and it was gone. He literally sprinted from the entrance to the arena to the ring. I reckon the song had about 3 or 4 seconds to get. That's all he sort of got of his song, because I'm not joking. He literally sprinted to the ring and jumped in there, and he's bouncing around everywhere. I wish he fought that energetically than as he did his ring walk, because he got a bit of a lesson that night from George. But he's and you're right, he does look in really good nick, and he carries, well, it looks like he carries the welterweight weight really, really well, because when I was promoting, he was a lightweight. Maybe he had to ball himself down a little bit. So now is at welterweight, looks a lot healthier and stronger. Same as Ibby, he was balling himself down to featherweight. Looks a hell of a lot better at lightweight. All right, Ross. Just don't start going live in the supermarket, then we might think you are going crazy. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We'll do a walking boxing segment in the supermarket as I'm walking around there, mate. We'll see. Bill, she lost. Okay, huge spirited effort, just way too much reach difference. Yeah, it's a big step up. Bill, the Olympics, the best of the best are there. So I'm sure no disgrace in losing. I'm sure she'll be back. Is it worth going to the event sitting way at the back, or the atmosphere is worth it? I must admit, Damien, when you're in, especially T-Mobile Arena, MGM Grand's a little bit different, because you seem like you're really still amongst it all, even if you are up the back. T-Mobile Arena, you find yourself there. I mean, there's this massive screen above the ring, and you sort of find yourself watching the screen. Look, I will say, for me, yes, it's probably easier to sit there and watch it on a TV back here in Australia, but I love, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do it, by the way, and I don't never ever lose focus of that, but I'm very privileged to be able to go over. I love the Vegas hype. I love being in Vegas for the week. The press conferences, the weigh-ins, the open workouts, just other fight fans around, the buzz around Vegas. It's all on the billboards and electronic media they put outside the casinos, and just the arena going in there, and it's just the buzz, and it's just something I haven't really seen. Having been to a lot of fights here in Australia, us being able to replicate. And I think that's got a lot to do probably with the fans. Now, we've got some really, very, very passionate fans here in Australia. And don't get me wrong, it's just a smaller base. The fight fans here are just as passionate as the ones overseas, but there's just not enough of them. So when you go to the events here, you get the real hardcores that have that vibe, but it's that big. And you sort of get a lot of the guys and girls, so maybe the footy crowd that just go because it's a big event. They just want to see some fights, and they don't really get the boxing side of things. I'm sure it's the same with UFC, but when you go to an event in the States or a lot of places, I'm sure England's the same. You go there, and these are hardcore fight fans, and the arena is full of those hardcore fight fans. I mean, if we get... Say you go to say it's the George Kambosos, whether it be Huni or Lomachenko, you go to those fights, and if there's 15,000 people there, you might get 3, 4, maybe 5,000 that are those hardcore fans, and you get the other 10,000 are just the people there that just like to go to a big event or have seen it on TV or go with mates or whatever it might be. They're not the hardcore fans. You can sort of sense that in the arena. Although having said that, being at some of the fights where, Tim Tszю's an example against Tony Harrison, I thought the walls were going to fall, or the roof was going to fall in when he had Tony Harrison going, so they can make the noise. But when you go to the States, they're just, especially those Mexican fans, it's hard to explain. You sort of have to be there, and they're all very educated. You sit in the crowds or in the casinos in the lead up to it, or no matter where you go, you're running the boxing fans everywhere, and they know they're boxing. You don't sort of get that here in Australia. You get a slight little percentage of people that are hardcore fight fans, but then the others, as I said, just go there because it seems to be the in event of that month. So, but if you can get there, make sure you do it. Big fight in Vegas, you can't miss it. I'd love to go to one in England. That's on my bucket list. So maybe one day, hopefully, I'll get over there. All right. But for me, it's sorry, Damien, to answer your question. Yeah, money-wise, it's probably not worth that amount of money sitting up the back. But for me, it's 100% worth it just to be there for the week and everything that the event sort of entails. Vivid Seats are saying section 210 row Q tickets are $6.61. Is that right, Ross? Yeah. Well, I never sort of buy from those sites, although I know Vivid's pretty legitimate, I think. I normally just go through the T-Mobile site directly. I think they use ASX, I think it is. They give you an app and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty good. That's a lot of money. So row Q, section 210. So that sounds pretty expensive, Ross, but let's see. All right, Double G. I think that No Limit may just be out of the depth when it comes to steering Tim Tszyu through the world scene and playing the game, seasoned promoters. Yeah, well, I think they've got a little bit to learn. They are getting better, Double G. Let's not forget, they've only been at this level for probably only 3 or 4 years. I know they started promoting Tim back in 2019, but that was when he was at domestic level. He's only really been at the international level for probably 2-3 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4, whatever it might be. So they're sort of learning as they go. And I think we did see that, especially in the Fundora situation. Although there's always two sides of the story, but it did look like they were sort of outmaneuvered by the promoters and everyone that looked after Fundora and Spence. But they're learning. The fact that they're dealing probably on a daily basis now with PBC, with Top Rank, maybe Golden Boy, Eddie Hearn. I think that as they get experience in the world of boxing, I think they're experienced in the world of business, not necessarily in boxing business, but they are getting better. So you can't, that's why they're called experience, because you have to experience dealing with the PBCs and Top Ranks and all the rest of it. So let's just see where he's at in a year or two's time, I suppose. Big J, the only Mexican fighter was Cain Vasquez, is it? That bloke that beat Brock Lesnar, but that was over a decade ago. Yep, never heard of him, mate. But yeah, so we'll say that's a yes. The Mexicans haven't got a fighter that is anywhere near Canelo's sort of appeal. Oh, okay. Style bender, Israel Adesanya, is it? Izzy Adesanya? Anya? Is that how you pronounce it? Sorry, we'll call him Izzy. The style bender. What did I call him? The side bender. Sorry about that. All right, Damien, I paid for every Turkey pay-per-view and will always price it right out on amazing events. And I'll always price it right. Amazing events, and I'm in a flight this weekend. I'll still buy it. Okay. Let us know where you're going, Damien. I think you might have actually told us at some stage. You should have, if you're going to go on holiday overseas, Damien, why aren't you going to LA? At least have a stopover in LA. You could have been at the fights. You could have been my man on the ground over there and give us all the goss. All right, Bill. I heard Chopper was book signing. Grant says to his cuz, I want to meet him, but huge lineup. This is Tassie we're talking about. Tassie walks up to random third in line, chats, then talks to Chopper. They end up having lunch. Took 5 minutes. I'm telling you, I've seen him in action. I was with him in Vegas for the Canelo and Triple G fight. He had press credentials. This is a guy that knew no one, by the way. Had press credentials by the end of it, sitting, I think, 2 or 3 rows back at the weigh-in, sitting 2 or 3 rows back in the press conference. He had interviews. He even had us at Sean Porter's dad's place for a drink out in wherever they are in a gated community. We're in this massive mansion in his Dodge Challenger or Charger, whatever it was, getting picked up by Sean Porter's dad, getting driven around Vegas, and as I said, having drinks at his house. And he interviewed everybody. This is a guy, if anyone should be based in Las Vegas, as a bit of a Las Vegas boxing personality, it's Tassie Brown, I can tell you. You've never seen anything like it, fair dinkum. But it's not me. Everyone's sort of built differently. I couldn't do it, but he can. So all the best to him. All right. How much was a nosebleed ticket for Zoo Harrison? $80,000. Hey, actually, Damien, I actually went up there with my old mate, Ronnie Picken, who I'm sure was watching tonight. How are you, Ronnie? What's going on with those Blues, mate? Come on, give it to me. What is happening with the Blue Boys? But anyway, we were there, and we actually got corporate tickets. So I don't know how we got them. They were actually... I don't want to say they were cheap, but they weren't really expensive. And we had a little lounge, and we had food and drinks and our own little section out the front. They might have been $500 or $600, I think, from memory, but compared to what you pay in Vegas. But no, Damien, they weren't $80,000. That was a ripper day, by the way. I remember it was at Isaac Hardman fought Rowan Murdoch, which was a ripper. Ben Mahoney, and who did he might have fought Cohen Mazzutia that day. Nikita fought Bo Belbin, who was Tassie's guy. So that was a good card. I had no dramas paying that. We went up to Sydney. It's actually on my YouTube page if you want to see our weekend up in Sydney for that fight. Double D. There's no cash here. No cash. Yes, that's the Chopper movie. Damien, Brock Lesnar made the UFC back in the day. Damn, that was a fun time. Yeah, I think I've said on here before. Don't want to keep puffing my chest out, but I saw Brock when he fought. Who did he fight? Overeem. Is that his name? Alistair Overeem at the MGM ground that was, and he got knocked out in that fight. Cain Velasquez. Okay, it was old that beat Lesnar. Did you hear that there was a high school dance when George Rose's kid came in? They were in their performance. Everyone had to... Hang on, I'll say that again. Did you hear there was a high school dance when George Rose's kid came in for their performance? Everyone had to pay $70. Jeez, Damien, I just got a feeling you're not going to be on the No Limit Christmas card list, mate. Yep, Kenny Porter. Yep, Tassie got the gift of the gab. He does, mate, I'm telling you. And it was interesting. We, because Tassie said to me one day, we were there, and he said, right, come with me. We're going out to some gym out in Whoop Whoop. I can't even remember where it was. And he said, we're going to watch, who was it? Someone spar. And I was like, oh, okay. It might have been actually the Fernando Vargas's kids. No, sorry. No. It was Jorge Linares. He said, come on, we're going to go to this gym out wherever it is, and we're going to see Jorge Linares spar. So, of course, yeah, let's go. I don't even know how we found this out, by the way. And he said, come on. So we jumped in an Uber, and we drove out to this gym, and there was no one there, and it looked completely deserted. It didn't even look like a gym. It was like this big empty building, and it's like, wow, okay, well, it looks like we're stuck in the middle of freaking nowhere out here, and we're walking around. We couldn't see anything that even resembled a gym. And then all of a sudden, this door opens, and these two guys walk out, and I had no idea who they were, but Tassie knew them. He said, oh, no, these such and such from a podcast. I think it's called The Boxing Voice, and they are massive since then. And actually, as I say that, I'm going to bring them up because I want to see. It's called The Boxing Voice, and I'm sure some of you out there have probably subscribed to them and watched them. I'm going to bring them up now, see if I can... The Boxing Voice. There they are. So THA for the Boxing Voice. So they've got 225,000 subscribers. And when you say, as far as, I know there's lots of massive podcasts or YouTube channels out there, but not so much for boxing. To have 225,000 of them, that is massive. So anyway, these two guys, you see them on there, The Boxing Voice. They come out and they say, you okay there, boys? And we're like, well, mate, we're lost. We're looking for a gym, blah, 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 blah. And they said, all right, come with me. So these two guys take us in, and inside, I mean, it was just a concrete building outside, but inside it was all decked out, and they showed us up to their podcast studio and showed us around. It was really cool, and they took us downstairs, and it was a bit dark down there. I'm thinking, where the hell are these guys taking us? But we went down, we walk into this gym. And down there is Jorge Linares. No, sorry, I'll take that back. He wasn't there yet. These two guys down there, one was an MMA guy who was doing some work and whatever it was. And we're like, hey, mate, we're here to said, hang around. Jorge Linares will be here soon. So we hung around. In walks Jorge Linares. Then 10 minutes later, in walks Fernando Vargas and his 3 sons. And, all of a sudden there's like 50 of us people in there in this gym, and they sparred, and it was just unbelievable sparring. Jorge Linares sparred with all the Fernando Vargas' boys, one after the other, all 3 of them. He's all tough too because he didn't hold back. And, it was just a really good day. And we talked to all the guys, and Tassie, of course, got all the photos with them. And Kenny Porter was next door. I'm getting to your point here, Andy. Kenny Porter, someone said, Kenny Porter's gym is next door. I'm like, Kenny Porter's got a gym. So we go in there, and there's Kenny in there pumping weights. So we just walked in and just introduced ourselves. And the next day, Tassie's like, I've been talking to Kenny. He would have been talking to him online. He's picking us up tonight. We're going to go out to his house. I'm like, what? We're going to Kenny Porter's house. So he picked us up in his Dodge Charger or Challenger, whatever they're called, drove us out to his house. We had drinks. We had a good night. He dropped us back. And he lived just up the road from Floyd Mayweather. I think his son Sean was there, and it was just a really, really good night. But, mate, I remember another quick story for you, Andy. We're walking through the MGM foyer, and he spots, what's his name? He's the guy off After the Bell. Has his own podcast. What's his name? I'm going to have to look him up now. Is it Before the Bell? Sorry, Before the Bell. What's his name? Hang on. Before the Bell cast. I'm going to type this in. We'll see what his name is. You'll know him when I say. What is his name? Mario Lopez. There you go. We see Mario Lopez walking through the MGM foyer with his wife or girlfriend, whatever she is. And Tassie's, he's just gone. He's just gone. I'm standing beside him, and he's gone like a bullet. I'm like, what the hell's this crazy guy doing? So I look over there, and he's getting himself. He literally almost tackled Mario Lopez to the ground, and Mario Lopez like, who the hell is this guy? But he's got a video with him, and he's you gotta see it to believe. But anyway, this is not the Tassie Brown Show. We'll move on. Still with Tassie. Have you been to one of his events in Tassie? I have, mate. Yep. Yeah, they're blue collar type of events. I won't lie. There's nothing flash about them, but really good fight nights. He gets probably 1,000 people there to watch. He has the amateurs first and then the pros afterwards. I was down there. It was when his female, Mousy Jacobs, fought Lorinda Webb for the WIABA or whatever the hell it's called down there. And it was good. It was a good night out. As I said, good night of fights. It's definitely, nothing, it's not the MGM Grand, but it's still a good night of fights. So, and as I said before, he keeps boxing going down there. Himself, and has done either 20 or 21 shows, wherever it's going to be. So, Garside up now. Will keep us up to date there, mate. Nesta Gibb. Okay, has he got the show? Has he? Hang on. Doesn't actually say who the hosts are. So he's the host, is he, Andy? Which one is he? See if I can bring him up. What's his name? Nesta Gibb. That's an interesting name, isn't it? Nesta Gibb. See if he comes up. Oh, yeah. Let's see if he's got any images so I can tell. No, the BG's come up. So that's not him. Anyway, keep us up to date there, Big J. Nesta Gibbs went on a Aussie hating rant the other day, the prequel. Let us know what he said. I'll have to listen to that. I mustn't actually be subscribed to them. No, I'm not. There you go. All right. Look, I've watched a few of their videos, Damien. I don't know. They're long videos, and yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, hang on, it's up there now. Hang on. They do get a few big names on there, though, Damien. But yeah, okay. Well, I suppose it's not massive views. Here's one for 20, but they're normally sort of 3, 4, 5,000 views. Still though, 225,000. I'd take that. Garside with that left hook looking good. With that left looking good. Yeah, look, he's a big chance, Damien. He unlucky last time to run into Andy Cruz, of course. But if he gets the right draw this time, I think he can definitely medal again, and maybe, who knows, go 1 or 2 steps further. Great Tassie stories. Bring back the tirade. Yeah, well, it's interesting listening to his podcast, Andy, because it's nothing like he was on this channel. He's very very subdued, very laid back, very to the point. I suppose you have to be. If you're interviewing the likes of Tim Zoo, you can't go on the tirade, can you? But it's a different type of Tassie. Yep, Nesta wasn't too complimentary about Tim. Well, what did he say, Double G? I don't know what he could say that's not complimentary. Up till he got the cut, he was doing really well. Yeah, he said that. I'm going to have to go watch. All he does is get stoned, eat and drink in the mic. He sucks. Okay. So you obviously know who I'm talking about then. I didn't know whether you'd know, but yeah, the boxing voice. There's two of them. Yeah, I had no idea who they were, but Tuzzy knew who they were. So, yep, Nesta, the main dude, big Dominican guy, probably passes Joe Joyce's brother. No, yeah, okay. Yeah, could, yeah. Or maybe it was Nesta's guest. Either way, still bagging Tim's talent. Oh, okay, well, I'm not sure how you could do that. Look, from what I've seen over there, most of the podcasters and YouTubers have been actually quite complimentary to Tim. And look, I'm not quite sure. Okay, you might, if you're over there, you might look at Tim and go, okay, well, maybe he's relatively unproven. Maybe he hasn't fought the best fighters. But he's still got talent. He's willing to fight anybody. He was a WBO champion. Not quite sure how you could bag him. I know old mate Michael Zarafa likes to bag him, but they've obviously got their own sort of feud going. I better be quiet. I don't want to upset anybody. But, yeah, I'm not sure why you have anything derogatory to say about Tim. Obviously, he's got his reasons, but I'll have to check it out. All right, guys, I think I'm at the end of the comments there. Anything else you want to talk about? What else actually happened on the weekend? Or coming up this weekend? All right, so we've gone through the card, although it won't let me bring it up there now. Terence Crawford, who wins, himself or Madrimov? I'm going to pick Crawford to rise to the occasion and beat Madrimov by a clear-cut 12-round decision. And I think he will be next for Canelo, and I think he gives Canelo all he can handle. So let's see. Bill, if some extra dollars goes to our Warriors, I'll pay for any card as long as they're not footballers. Most cards are 4 hours. Cheap, sit on a bar stool for 4 hours, want $150 plus. My opinion, pay-per-view at home, much better value. Look, Bill, we've discussed this in the past, haven't we? I don't sort of mind it that, let's just put it in perspective, say $70. If you were, and especially if you go to the pub, you have a nice meal, a couple of drinks, probably that, does that get you, $70 get you a meal and a couple of drinks these days? Probably not. But let's just say you go down with the boys. Yes, for $70, you have a Palmer and a couple of pots, and you watch the fights. And I don't see how it's sort of not worth it. I know in comparison to the overseas events, I get that, but I've explained before, we're only an afterthought to the big promoters over there. We're like 0.1% of what they earn for the rest of the world's pay-per-view. So that's probably why they just chuck us a bone and give it to us for the $30. But for the fights here, yeah, I don't know. And even if you get a few mates to your house, I mean, it makes it even cheaper. I think you just got to look at it as a whole. But I do understand, Damien, I'm sure you'll chime in here. I totally understand that if you're saying, well, hang on, I'm $70 is $70 and I want value for my money. I totally get it. But for me, I don't know, especially this card coming up, I think it's actually a really, really good card. All right. Here's a complete flog. This is it Nesta Gibb? Here's some sparring on his channel, just complaining about punches. He's a typical flabby, lazy prick. All right, Damien. Another Snickers for you, mate. Another one for you tonight. You're going to have 2 tonight. All right, basically saying Tim's 2 trips to the States, he was dropped by Gaucher and battered by Fundora. Just haters, yeah. Look, you can't please everyone. As I said earlier, you can't, no matter what you say, you're going to offend somebody or upset somebody or get someone bent out of shape. So I think Tim just focus on the job. I think there's a lot more admirers than haters. So maybe I won't subscribe to his page now. He's it won't be 225,001. It's going to have to stay at 225,000. All right, Andy. Haters gotta hate. Sometimes people just off script and go left. They'll talk Tim up again when he beats Murtazaliev. Yes, I agree. If you get dropped, you aren't pound for pound on his list. Well, obviously, he hasn't been watching boxing for a long time, Damien, because the best of the best have all been dropped, haven't they? What's this? Oh, here we go. Big game of AFL this week. Yeah. Oh, isn't it amazing? The Pies actually get a win for a change, and all of a sudden, you're all chirpy out there. Oh, look, Ross, if I'm being honest, I think the Blues are cooked. I'm hoping more than anything that we get back on track. We've had a bad month. A bad month. 3 really poor... I'm talking about Carlton here, by the way. 3 really poor wins. A very unconvincing win over the second or third bottom team. The Pies haven't been much better, but they looked okay, although it was only against Richmond. I'm a little bit worried, Ross. I won't lie. I'm just hoping that we can get some sort of momentum back, because at the moment we just look shot to pieces. So anyway, we'll see. But yes, it's a big game, and go them Blue Baggers. All right, change of subject. Go and watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Jeez, we've got a bit of everything tonight. Deadpool and Wolverine, bloody excellent movie. Was awesome cameos. Okay, all right. I haven't seen any of the Wolverine movies, if I'm being honest. And the Deadpool one, I might have seen the first one. No, sorry, I did see. There's been 2, I think, hasn't there? I really liked the first one. The second one, not so much. But from all accounts, it's a ripper movie. So yeah, we'll go and check that out at some stage. What's that, Andy? Again there. Nesta hating now, but will flip-flop later. I think he just says some stuff just to generate conversation. Now, he has, from what I've seen, I think he has live interactions, well, probably a bit like we're having here, but I think he gets them on to actually talk. And we have sort of tried it on here before. It's a little bit hard with the internet and streaming and all that sort of stuff. And we tend to, I normally get behind in the comments, but we get way behind if I start getting people on here. So that's probably why I stick to this. But he goes on for hours, I think, doesn't he? How long are they there? Looking at a few of his podcasts. At 2, okay, so 2 hours, an hour and a half, an hour 35. Okay, well, maybe we could do it at some stage. Big J, it looks even for Garside last round now. All right. Let us know. Actually, I won't. I was going to bring it up, but I won't. I think it's on the channel, 9 Gem app from memory. Is that right? Big J, you can catch all the boxing action on there. Garside, fast, hard to hit. He's a good young talent, Bill. Well, not so young anymore, but he's definitely got some ability, no doubt about that. Tim is incredible. Watch what he does. Yeah, I think we can all agree. He got nailed against Gaucher, but big deal. He got nailed. He got up and won every single round after that and almost had Gaucher gone. Not so sure how that's a bad performance. Who else did he... Oh, I think you've got to put a line through the Fundora fight. Geez, for the first 2 rounds, he lit him up, did Tim against Fundora. And then, geez, if anything, you've got to be in awe of Tim Tszyu for fighting. I still don't think it was the right decision, mind you, but he fought 10 rounds with barely being able to see what had a hot, sticky substance in his eyes the whole way. Of course, blood all over his face, in his eyes, on his gloves. He would have been swallowing blood. He would have been swallowing Fundora's blood as well. Not ideal, and he hung around and lost a split decision. I don't see how you can be critical of someone that does that, but sounds like this guy needs to get laid as well by the sound of things. But come on, Damien. Who cares about AFL? Now, Damien, did you say you're at Alice's gym? So I'm assuming you're in Victoria, and we're talking AFL, mate. We're talking AFL. All right. And yes, I will continue to talk about AFL, especially when we're winning. This week, I'm not talking about it because we're shit. All right. Ross. Okay. Yep. 400th game for Scott Pendlebury. If you're not familiar with Scott Pendlebury, Collingwood legend, playing his 400th game this weekend. And all things aside, Ross, you've got to admire Scott Pendlebury. He's a gentleman. He's a great player. I'm not quite sure if he knew that he had a basketball background. Apparently he did. Good basketball player. If you're an AFL fan, you'll understand the joke I just made there. But, all the best to Scott as far as his performance goes. But let's hope the Blue Boys spoil the party and get the job done. We seem to have make a habit of beating Collingwood in those marquee games, although Collingwood did beat us in our 150th anniversary back in 2015. But I remember we beat Collingwood, I think, in the 100th anniversary, I think it was, back a lot of years ago. But anyway, we'll move on. I'm not allowed to talk about AFL. We'll move on. What? Garside lost his bloody hope. Come on, Big. He's bloody hopeless. Wow. Garside lost. Well, there you go. That is a turn up. That's not a good start for the Aussies. 2 out on the same night. I've got a feeling Taramona, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure he might right the wrongs, but that's a massive loss if that is the case. He obviously, of course, he got out of the pros. He had 3 fights in the pros, and then went back to the amateurs for this. So that is a big kick in the guts for Harry. So yeah, that's one of our main hopes out, and that's how it goes, guys. That's the luck of the draw. And I would have thought, though, was he from Hungary? Hungary have got some good fighters, but I'm surprised that he couldn't get over him. So that's a shame. Yeah, well, Bill, you thought I thought he did well. Okay, it's a shame. All right, I'll make sure I check that on YouTube a bit later. What you should do, have special guest, is only read interesting or relevant comments or questions. Sorry, what's that? Maybe what you should do if you have a special guest is only read interesting or relevant comments or questions. Don't have to read every comment. Just a thought. Yeah, good point, Andy. And I probably should go through the comments a bit more than I do, but I like to put everyone's up there. Everyone has the right to their say. But you're probably right. If I had a guest, I could probably do that and just read out the relevant questions or comments that people have, and like you said, don't read out every comment. So no, I like it, mate. Women's beach volleyball, let's go. Yeah, I have heard that's the hottest ticket in town, Damien. The women's beach volleyball. Big J, he's bloody hopeless, nothing but a hype. That's a bit harsh there, Big J. About Harry. So Damien, so you're in Gisborne and you're bad mouthing AFL. Let me guess, you're like a Richmond or North Melbourne supporter, are you? You're in Gisborne. I think I've said I'm in Mount Macedon, so I'm only about 10 minutes from you. So if you see me walking around the neighbourhood, Damien, firstly give me a wave, but just don't think I'm crazy talking on my little camera. Trevor, Harry's Olympic dream is over. Awkward opponent, the Hungarian. Yeah, as I said, the Hungarians can fight. They can fight. When we actually went to the world titles in Hungary in '97, they had a really strong team, and they had one of their fighters was an Olympic, or I think he might have been Olympic gold medalist, or world champion, whatever it was. This is an amateur, and he drove to training camp every day it was either a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. So that was in '97, and this is an amateur driving to training in a Ferrari, let's call it. It's either Ferrari or Lamborghini. So that goes to show that over there, they look after their amateur athletes. Pretty crazy. And he'd rock in like a rock star every day. And he had this little thing he would do when he was fighting. I think he might have, I'm not sure whether he won the gold that year. I have to look it up. But he had this thing where he would throw a punch and then he would wave his hand in the air like, yep, look at that one. I just landed that one, even if it didn't land. And I've got no doubt that influenced the judges a little bit, because he'd go bang, the crowd, of course, would cheer, and he'd wave his hand in the air like, yep, another punch lands. And little tricks of the trade. But the fact he was rolling up every day with the sunnies and all the expensive clothes and in the Ferrari, as I said, they look after the amateurs over there, the Hungarians. Another quick story on the Hungarians. Danny Green. I was with Danny in. I hope you don't mind the stories, by the way, guys. There's not a hell of a lot of comments tonight. So I was at the Liverpool Cup in England with Danny, and he fought a Hungarian who was a real hot prospect. He was one of the main fighters in it, and Danny was raw as raw. Hadn't been to the Olympics or anything like that yet, or the Commonwealth Games or anything like that, and really, really green. I think it might have been one of his first tournaments he'd actually been to, and the Hungarian boxed rings around him for a couple of rounds. and would have been way ahead on points. And then, as Danny Green has tended to do in his fights, boom, landed the big right hand and all over. And that was it for the Hungarian. He got up, did the chicken dance. The referee called it off, and that was it. So that's obviously a bit of foreshadowing to the future with Danny Green. Tommy, I don't know if you keep up with Australian basketball, but you guys have a good team at the Olympics. I don't really, Tommy. I know we have got a good team. I think we're coming up against the Canadians, who might be the second seed. I don't know. But I'm not sure, Tommy. But I do know we have got a good basketball team. My son tells me all about it. He's mad basketball. Still on the wave, riding the wave of the Celtics winning. He's a mad Celtics fan. So that's probably one of the sports I might watch, to be honest, Tommy, will be the basketball. Good luck, Callan Peters, SA boy. Yep, thanks, Kane Mack. Yep, I'm not quite sure when he's on, Kane. Let us know. But, yeah, keep a lookout for him. I've heard some good things about him too, Kane, so let's hope he gets the win. The Canadian Wyatt Sanford looks a great chance in the 63.5 kilogram division for the gold. Canadians have always had good fighters too. I remember back in the day there was, and what was his name? Geez, he's that good I can't remember who he was. Mike Strange. He was the captain of the Canadian team back in the day, and he went to a couple of Olympics, couple of Commonwealth Games. He's got had a really good bar in Niagara Falls that we went to after the Olympics with him and partied with him, and he's an absolute superstar in Canada. He really was. Really good guy too. But Canadians always good in the boxing, Trevor. So I'll keep an eye out for Wyatt Sanford in the 63.5 division. He's an idiot, says Jack about Harry Garside. Waiting around another 3 years. Yeah, maybe. But sometimes, Jack, pros isn't for everyone. It's a whole different sport. It's not just a matter of taking the singlet off, and maybe he just sees the amateurs as a sport, and the pros is obviously strictly a business. So maybe the business side of things wasn't really his thing, and he's more likes traveling the world, representing Australia, not really in any wars, because in amateur boxing it's a 3-round fight. Not all I was going to say there's not as much politics. There's probably more in amateur boxing when you think about it. But probably just liked the appeal of the amateur scene rather than the pro scene. Maybe at 28 years of age, maybe he's got time to turn pro again. I'm sure No Limit will have the welcome mat out for him if that's the case. And maybe as a lightweight, maybe he enters the equation as far as Liam Wilson and Ibi Bella and George Camboso. I got a feeling they might be sort of gone by the time he's ready to fight those guys in another 2 or 3 years' time. But yeah, who knows? Great talent, and the only thing with him is he hasn't got a lot of power, and over a 12-round fight in that division in the pros might be a bit hard for him, but look, you never know. Andy, it's easier to lag if trying to read every comment and entertain guests. Yeah, I'm the same, Andy, but yes, I'm with you. Damien, no, mate, Essendon. Oh, that's right, you're an Essendon man. Yes, of course. No wonder we're not talking footy, Damien. It had been any other week, I'd love to sit here and talk footy with you, Damien. If you didn't know, Essendon have been pretty much in the top 4 all year. I've lost 6 of their last 8. Last week lost to, I think, the 15th placed Adelaide, and this week lost to the 16th or 14th, whatever his team, in St Kilda. So the Bombers. Geez, I wish any other week, Damien, but not this week. The Blues, I think, are cooked. So, always next year. You never know, though. Still got a month for Carlton and Essendon to maybe get the wheels churning. Laura said, easy on the North supporters. Oh, we love the North supporters. All 10 of them. All right. And the cheer squad. Oh, we're up to about 6, I think, now. 6 members. I think. Sorry, Laura, if you're listening to that. No, there's actually 8 in the cheer squad. Just joking. All right. I thought Harry won, but that was a great contest. Yep. Yeah. All right. I'll check it out later. Bill, that's Harry Garside he's talking about. Hungarian bloke counted Harry all fight. That's Garside done. Never thought he was much anyway. All show and no go. Well, he did win a bronze medal, BJ. Geez, you've been a bit harsh tonight. He's probably trained by the jump, says Damien. Thanks, Tara. Yep. Don't encourage him. Yep. As I said, any other week, you'd be in a bit of trouble, Damien. I'd have lots of different Essendon things to say, but not this week. Although, throwing the scarves on the ground, Damien, come on. Did you see the Essendon supporter? Come on. We all get a bit pissed off our teams losing. I was pissed as hell on Friday night. I'm sure Tara will attest to that. It wasn't a happy chappy, but to throw the scarf on the ground, geez, what's next? Cutting up the memberships or microwaving the memberships? Geez. The Trump and Garside are a perfect match. Both weirdos you can't fight. Okay, BJ. All right, Andy. Story's always good. Green Machine was a beast in his prime. It was devastated when he was disqualified in the first Bayer fight, and absolutely disappointed when Briggs flopped. Yeah, the Briggs fight was that wasn't Danny's fault, although his promotional firm did put the fight together. But yeah, let's maybe sweep that under the carpet. That Briggs fight. Really disappointed in that one. And yeah, the Bayer fight, I was disappointed as well, Andy, but it was self-inflicted. He had Bayer on toast. And gave the referee the opportunity to disqualify him, and he took it. And unfortunately, the rematch didn't go his way. But he could punch, Andy. Wasn't the most graceful guy, wasn't the most talented fighter, but got the absolute last bit of ability out of himself. Worked hard, of course. Obviously trained really hard, dedicated himself, and he had that big right hand and the heart. So, yep, full respect to the Green Machine. Hope he's doing well over there in Perth. Just he looks in good nick, doesn't he? I know he's got the slick back grey do going out. Sort of suits him, but he looks in really good nick. You guys enjoying the Olympics? Some great fights. Felt sorry for Garside. Well, I'm looking forward to having a look a little bit later, Batman. I haven't seen any of the boxing. I didn't think it started at all until tonight. Obviously, has there been a day of it, or maybe it started this afternoon? I'm not sure, but I'll go back and check out, especially our guys fighting and the results. Who's the English this year, or the UK, Batman? Let us know who the hopes are there. Got to say that the UK, they cheat a little bit. Don't they get the Irish and the Scottish and the Welsh under the one umbrella at the Olympics? That's a bit cheeky. All right, Damien. You were correct weeks ago when you said we never best a top 8 team. Now can't even beat the bottom 8. Yes, Damien. Yes. And as I said, if it was any other week, I'd be having a field day with you, but not this week. I'm entertained by hearing everyone's comments. That's what makes this channel great. Have fighters, trainers, us casuals from all over the world. This channel is growing. Why change what's working? Yeah, thanks, Bill. I appreciate that, mate. Look at our shit heap of a club. We should have cleaned house years ago, but no. This is Essendon again he's talking about. Sheedy was the only one to say no to that loser, Brad Scott. We are terrible. James, taking the talk, walking. I am, mate. I am. I'll think of something else as well. There's always different ways to do it. What do we got at the moment? We've obviously got this show. We've got the daily show with the walking boxing. We've got the Friday, which is the weekly roundup. We've got the live watch-alongs, which again, Crawford, Madrimov this Sunday morning. And then when there's no Wednesday night fights on, I'll be doing some other segment as well. You can tell I've got a really exciting life, can't you? Just a balance. Spend the time, obviously, at work, spend the time with the family, but this is the way I spend my time. Some people go to the pub or whatever it is. I like to do this. All right, Damien, I'm going Tassie Devils as soon as they come in. You can't say anything about it. New teams need supporters. Get a membership, Damien. Be a foundation member. The mighty Tassie Devils. I hope they change the jumper though, Damien. I don't like it. I'm hoping that it's just maybe just a demo they can sort of use for the next 3 or 4 years before they come in. I like the colours, the green, red, and yellow, but I wouldn't mind some lightning bolts or something on there. Not just the map of Tassie with a big T in it. No, I think they can do better than that. Paul Briggs was a hurricane once upon a time. I was honestly severely disappointed in that green fight. He shouldn't have taken the fight, Andy. Should not have taken the fight, but we didn't know that he had some severe problems outside the ring. Good to see these days, though. He's got himself together. Looks like he runs a really good gym up there on the Gold Coast, and I think is he an inspirational speaker or something now, but he puts a bit on social media. So I'm really glad that he's found himself, Andy, and he's content with his life now, and yeah, he's doing well, because back then obviously he had some major issues around that time. All right, guys. Well, we've got a couple of minutes to go. If you've got anything else that you would like to talk about, let me know. If not, we'll call it a night. I'm not quite sure. Maybe everyone's watching the boxing tonight, so because we haven't had as many viewers maybe as normal, but all good. Some weeks are up, some weeks are down. But again, just to recap, walking boxing on every morning or every day. I do it in the morning. It does take a while to upload too, by the way, because I do it in the 4K. I just think it just takes hours to upload, which is, I'll see what I can do anyway. I'll see if I can lower it down a K or two. I don't even know what a K is, but there's 4 of them on this camera, and I think it's high definition, and it takes ages to upload. So I will see what I can do. But anyway, check that out. As I said, weekly roundup on Friday and the watch along on Sunday morning. A couple of comments before we go. AFL is definitely main game in Northern Territory. Thought it would be in AFL by now. So yeah, well, let's talk about the 20th team, Andy, being the next one, the next cab off the rank. I'm not quite sure they've got the facilities and the people up there and the funding and sponsorship to fund it, Andy, but I'm not sure. But how good would it be to have a team in the Northern Territory? It would be awesome. It would be really good. Maybe they could have a Northern Australian team, so it's Northern Territory, Darwin, Alice Springs, and maybe Northern Queensland, so Cairns, all that sort of stuff, Toowoomba, or Townsville, whatever it might be, whatever. Who knows? But I think there is talk they might be the 20th team there, mate. RIP, all of my Essendon merch. Yep. Keep hold of those scarves this week, guys. Who have you got? Hang on. Let's have a quick look and see who they're playing this week. Hang on before we go. It's a footy show tonight, isn't it? Or is it? Round 21. You guys, where are we? Fremantle Dockers at the MCG. Good luck with that one there, mate. You're going to need it. All right, guys. Well, let's call it a night. As I said, we're a couple of minutes early, but as always, great to have you all watching tonight, and love the comments. Shout out to everyone that's been tuning in and commenting and asking questions and everything else. It means a lot. It helps the channel, helps the shows. And I'm glad you're liking the content at the moment. So until next time, we'll catch you then. Have a great week. Plenty to discuss next week on Talking Boxing with the fights this weekend. And we'll catch you then.